So what are investors likely to make of the spending cuts? Is it too much, too fast, or not enough? Let's get some analysis from George Magnus. He's Senior Economic Advisor at UBS. And George, you also have a book out actually on Friday called Uprising: Will Emerging Markets Shape or Shake the World Economy? Very topical. We'll get onto that and actually, the talk about these currency wars in just a second. But I want to really start by getting your feeling about what we can hear today from the Chancellor and what impact that will have on investor sentiment in general. Is there a concern that they'll cut the wrong things?
Well, some people have expressed the view that that the government may not be as draconian or as harsh as the PR has been up until now, and express the view that that might hit gilts and sterling negatively. I'm not sure about that. I think it's going to be pretty straight down the line. I think it's going to be as we've kind of expected. And I think investors will probably be, I don't know about relieved. Nobody's going to be relieved at the kind of measures that George Osborne's going to announce, but it'll fully be in line with expectations.
And at least it'll be out of the way.
And it'll be out of the way. I mean, what happens after that, obviously, is another matter. But for now, I think, the only thing that might be a surprise, perhaps, in fact, I hope it would be a surprise, but is if the Chancellor was to say something about, actually, there's something that we can also do to help stimulate private sector employment. I'm not sure if they'll say that, but I'm hoping. And
actually, I was speaking to John Wraith just 15 minutes ago, and he was saying he's concerned because the government is hoping that a lot of the public sector jobs lost will be absorbed by the private sector, and he doesn't believe this will go through. Are you concerned about?
Yeah, I'm not very I'm not enthusiastic. I mean, I don't believe that's going to happen. I think because the fabric of growth in the British economy, we've had a decent bounce back from last year's abyss, and even the employment market actually has behaved much better than people expected. But I think the fabric of growth in the economy is very thin. The whole of the Western world is moving in the same direction, and there's too much reliance on monetary policy, in my view.
George, what about this quantitative easing? I mean, of course, we have a three-way split in the MPC. Is it good that we have opposing views, or does it mean that actually it's a really tough job seeing what to do next?
Well, I think it is a very tough job because, for the most part, I suppose the members of the MPC can't actually figure out whether this is a good time to do more QE or not, and actually whether it has what sort of impact it'll have. Obviously, there's one member who's quite adamant about the fact that interest rates should go up. Not sure what planet that comes from, but clearly, the whole sort of cycle of inflation in this country that's just for another time, maybe 5 years away, but not now.
George Magnus, I want to talk a little bit about your book coming out on Friday. It's extremely topical, especially after what we've seen, yesterday coming out from China. I'm interested in Chapter 8. Who will inherit the Earth, right? It's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
But what place do emerging markets have at the moment? I mean, global imbalances are becoming deeper and deeper rooted.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any question, to use the phraseology of the title of the book, that emerging markets, will continue to shape the world. I mean, clearly, the structure of the global economy is changing. The West is on the back foot. Power is kind of seeping away in economic terms towards China and Brazil, India, and so on. But the shake part of this is really what makes it kind of interesting, because interesting and a little bit scary as well, because the kinds of policies which I think are being pursued now, particularly in China, and China's just the kind of the passing of ships in the night between China and the United States about who has the responsibility for fixing a global system that's been kind of flawed really badly. I think that's a really big issue. I mean, if one of these G20 meetings may break up in complete disarray, and we might find that these currency wars and protectionism get a little bit more aggravating.
Yeah, and the finance ministers meeting getting underway this week, and then a couple of weeks the actual G20. George Magnus there with the book out, Uprising: Will Emerging Markets Shape or Shake the World Economy? That book is out on Friday.